Welcome back to another video on the Tennis Brainwork channel. In this video I'm going to be looking at the Grand Slam title race between Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal, because things have now got very interesting, with Djokovic winning his 17th Grand Slam last week at the Australian Open 2020. I think when you look back to last year, I think it's almost a massive turning point in this race. We wouldn't have been probably having this conversation if Federer took one of them 2 championship points that he had at Wimbledon. Obviously that presented a great opportunity for Federer to increase his lead on them both, and had he won one of them 2 match points, Federer would have been sitting pretty at the top on 21, with Nadal on 18 and Djokovic on just 15. So a 6-point Grand Slam lead to Djokovic would have been, it would have took a monumental effort from Djokovic to cut that back. When Djokovic won that final, it obviously the gaps now was just 4 rather than 6, which is a huge shift. Even worse for Federer, obviously Nadal won the US Open and Djokovic has won the Australian Open, so now as it stands Federer's got 20, Rafa's got 19 and Djokovic has got 17. And you could argue like all 3 cases really. For Federer, quick look at Federer really. Do I see Federer adding any more to 20? No, not personally. Obviously he turns 39 this year, but he is still reaching the business end of Grand Slams. I mean, he reached a semi-finalist tournament, the Australian Open, that's just gone. Obviously not played his best tennis by any means, but he still got to the semi-final. He still played brilliant tennis in that open set against Djokovic. Could have been a different match had he won it. He does seem to struggle to beat Djokovic now with 5 sets, and that's partly the reason why I don't see him winning anymore. But he did craft match-winning opportunities in that 5th set at Wimbledon. He was 37-year-old then, and you could argue that he should have won that match. 2 match points on serve. The way he was serving in that match, he should have won it. But Djokovic showed all his fighting spirit to come back and win it. But looking for Federer, he wouldn't still be on tour if he didn't feel like he could add Grand Slams. Obviously the French has never been Roger's favourite slam by any stretch. I think you've got to look at Rafa or Djokovic or a team for that one, certainly. Wimbledon and US, I think, Roger's last 2 chances to win a Grand Slam, really. The US, I think he'll struggle with the likes of Medvedev, Tsitsipas, obviously Dominic Thiem now after making that huge run. He'll be confident. You've got Rafa, the defending champion, Djokovic, who'll go on that tournament as favourite on hard court. Wimbledon, I think, presents a huge chance for Federer. Obviously, grass is very difficult for players to play on, particularly younger players. It's not Rafa's best surface. It's just down to Djokovic. If Djokovic reaches Federer or faces Federer in that tournament, then I see Djokovic win. He's beaten Federer a lot of times at Wimbledon, particularly over 5 sets. I find it very difficult for Federer to beat Djokovic now in 5 sets, being 38, 39-year-old, what he'll be when Wimbledon comes round. But it's Roger Federer, you just never quite know. But for me, I see Roger finishing on 20 Grand Slams. An outstanding number, outstanding feat. Many thought it would last for years and years and years, but unfortunately for him, Rafa and Djokovic have sort of dominated this last 10 years and shared the Grand Slams, and that's resulted in him getting very close to Roger and possibly both passing him on to Rafa. Well, Rafa's always got that insurance, hasn't he, of winning the French. If Rafa always wins the French, I think he's now 11 or 12 titles, goes into the French Open this year. He's obviously had a fantastic last 6 or so months. He won the US Open, played brilliant at the Australian Open, losing to Dominic Thiem, who just played the match of his life. Rafa didn't do a lot wrong there. He hasn't had any injury problems for quite a nice long spell for Rafa, which is good to see. His knees and his ankles seem to be holding up, and he goes into that French Open. He's a massive favourite, isn't he? He's won 11 titles, I think it is, and you can't bet against Rafa. He's made Dominic Thiem look ordinary when he's played him twice in the finals, and he just dominates anyone that stands in his way. Rafa, it's his court. He owns Roland Garros. He's undoubtedly the best clay court player ever, and obviously now he's got that extra incentive of if he wins that, he could return to world number 1 again, and also he could level up with Roger Federer on 20 Grand Slams, which would leave him just needing to win 1 to become the outright leader. And for Rafa, he's always got that insurance, but he knows if he turns up for Roland Garros 90-100% fit, then he's probably going to win it. And then if he can have another brilliant tournament like he did last year at the US, then he's won 2 of the 4, and at least you know, if Djokovic can't close on him, then you can only match him, which he did. Obviously they shared the slams last year, 2 apiece. But Rafa's got that 2 start on Djokovic, 2 Grand Slam start, 19 to 17. So he has got the advantage, Rafa, and he has obviously got the advantage of always being the French. So you could make Nadal slight favourite. Negatives for Nadal, he lives as a year older than Djokovic. He's reaching 34. I think it's in June, his birthday this year, and he has had a lot of injury problems in the past. You know, if he was to get a serious knee injury, or I think it's his hands that he's had problems with over the years, then possibly that could limit his time on court. He could miss a couple of Grand Slams. He could retire earlier than Djokovic or Federer. So we never quite know. When you're doing these videos, it is hard to make a prediction because injuries are out of our hands. You know, one of them might get a major injury at one tournament and never play again. You just don't know. They might spend a year out of court. Like Djokovic, but that elbow injury was quite unexpected. How long he was going to be out for, and that certainly hampered his chances because he looked like he was taking over the game at the time of that injury. But Rafa, I hope he does stay fit. I hope he plays for 37, 38. You know, he's an outstanding player to watch, isn't he? He's such an entertainer. One of the best battlers I think we've ever seen. And definitely one of the best players of my generation, if not ever in the sport. And yeah, I think he will add a 20th Grand Slam. I think he'll win the French Open again. He looks in flying form. Rafa, he's definitely been playing as well as I've seen in the last couple of years, and I don't see who can beat him with the French. I think that team will arrive at that tournament with a lot of form, a lot of confidence on the back of his Australian Open run, and beating Rafa obviously at the Australian Open. But playing Rafa on clay is playing a different sport. You know, he's just unstoppable at the French Open, and I think the attitude and the mentality of Rafa really, he really thrives under it. You know, he comes out on Philippe Chatrier and he says, you know, this is my court. I'm the king of this court. I'm the champion. I'm the best clay court player ever. It's hard to get out. And he really, you know, shows his dominance, his superiority, and he just hammers everybody that's put in his way. But, you know, maybe he does have to lose once. You know, records are there to be broken. Perhaps someone can upset him. But I certainly wouldn't be backing for that to happen. On to Novak Djokovic, well, a lot of people think Djokovic is the man. If someone's going to pass Federer, you know, he's just so good, isn't he, at the minute? You know, of the past however many years he's added so many slams. He's world number one again now. Seems to win the Australian Open every year, and he's won what is it now 5 Wimbledon titles. The US Open he's obviously a massive favourite on every hardcore tournament. And Djokovic, for me, I think both players will pass Roger Federer. I think Rafa's obviously got a French Open. He'll win another couple of French Opens, 2 or 3, which will put him ahead of Federer anyway. So I think Rafa definitely passes Federer. I think if Djokovic stays fit for the next 3 or 4 years, then he could add. Djokovic could honestly add, you know, he's 33 this year. He's maybe got another 20, 24 Grand Slams in him. You've got to be backing Djokovic to win 2 a year. You've got to be backing him to lift another 8 to 10 Grand Slam titles potentially. I know that's a long way off, and it takes a huge amount of effort and training and injury-free tennis to win Grand Slams. So you, as I say, you can't really put a number on it. If he gets a major injury, then you know he might not pass Rafa. He might not win anymore. You don't know for any player. But I see Djokovic at the minute. I think he's still just a level above everybody. Whether next gen, whether it's Rafa, Federer, team. I think Djokovic turns up in a 5-set match. I don't see anybody beating him really, other than Rafa at the French Open. And Djokovic has got his eyes set on the task now. I think when he beat Roger last year and closed the gap to 4 rather than being 6, I think it was a real turning point, a real momentum shift, and Djokovic sensed that, you know, I can do this, I can go down as being the best player to ever play this sport, and I think that's really driving him on. He doesn't talk about it a lot, and he seems to play it down when asked about it, but deep down in his mind, I think he knows that I want to become the GOAT of this sport. I want to be known as the greatest tennis player ever, and you couldn't dispute that. You know, if Djokovic, whoever finishes the most out of these 3, you can't really dispute that. You know, they'll have arguably they'll probably have the longest spells at number 1. They'll have had the most titles, the most Grand Slams, and whoever finishes the most goes down as the GOAT for me. And I do think Djokovic does that. As I say, I think if he stays fit, the way he's serving, his serve seems to be proven all the time. That obviously helps as the older you get. He's got a massive experience now on on the big stage. You know, he dominates in Australia, he's dominated at Wimbledon over the past few years. The US is a massive favourite. If Rafa has an injury at the French or retires, and Djokovic becomes favourite to win that one alongside Thiem. And this year I could say Djokovic winning the Korea Grand Slam. You know, he's, other than, as I say, the French, I struggle to see anybody beating him other than the US Open. In 33 this year, he's looking as fit as ever. I can see Djokovic playing 37 or 38 quite comfortably. Another 20-24 Grand Slams, arguably. You've got to back him to win at least 1 in 3, haven't you? You know, if he can add 8-9 Grand Slams, and it would be absolutely just crazy really to reach a 25 or 26. I will make a final prediction on what I think they will all reach by the end of the video. But yeah, just off saying though, it's like what an era of tennis I've seen. Like, I'm 22, so growing up I've seen, you know, the likes of Stan, Murray, Rafa, Federer, Djokovic, and I truly believe I've seen the best era of tennis ever. I've heard in the past, and I've watched videos, the McEnroe, Borgs, Sampras, Graf plays at Navratilova. I've seen Serena growing up, but I truly believe this men's tennis now is these three, big three that have reached heights that are just crazy, and I don't think we'll see a player for a hell of a long time reach the amount of Grand Slams that these have. Like, you look at the likes of Tsitsipas and Medvedev, you know, the Zverevs, they are outstanding players, but I think they're going to beat each other. You know, I think they'll all win multi-Grand Slams. They're all good enough to win slams, they've shown that already, but I think they'll all beat each other. I don't think one of them will really like spurt away and just dominate tennis for a long spell of time. I could be wrong. You know, Medvedev, Tsitsipas, one of them might, you know, just dominate and get over the line and win 10, 11, 12 plus Grand Slams. But for me, I see them all about a similar level at the minute. But they are all very young. They've got a lot of development, and you know, one of them might have a better attitude than the other and close out matches better. But that will remain to be seen. But I do believe I've grown up in the best era of men's tennis ever. To see the likes of, you know, Murray winning his first ever Wimbledon title was brilliant for British tennis, and Stan just produced some crazy tennis at the biggest moments, winning 3 titles. But then Djokovic, Nadal and Federer just set a new bar to this game. You know, they've transformed it to levels that I don't think anybody thought we'd get to, and it's reached a world stage now, and it's transformed tennis to new levels in terms of viewings and popularity and everything like that. It's done wonders for the game, and they've all 3 have been a joy to watch, and will go down as 3 of the best players ever to play the game, no matter who finishes with the most. But in terms of a prediction, I think Djokovic will finish with the most on around 24-25. As I say, he's just in the form of his life. He looks very fit. His serve's improving all the time. And his massive favourite, 3 of the 4 Grand Slams. I see him playing at least another 16-20 Grand Slams, and you've got to back him to add 7 or 8 at least, which would put him on around 24-25. Yeah, he's on 17 now, so 24 or 25. And on to Rafa. I think he wins another 2 or 3 French. Maybe he's another US Open in there. I think he finishes on 22 or 23. And then Federer, I think he'll finish on 20. As good as Federer is, I just see the level he's at. Well, the level his opponents are at more than what Federer is at. You know, Federer in different eras, playing like he is now, would have won Grand Slams, but it's not good enough at the minute to beat a Djokovic and Nadal, Medvedev, Tsitsipas. They're just a team. They're reaching levels that are so high, and they're so fit and consistent over 5 sets. It's incredibly difficult for a 38, 39-year-old Federer to beat. Probably need to beat 2 or 3 of them to win a Grand Slam. It's going to be incredibly difficult. You know, on his day, of course he can. On his day, he is still one of the best in the world. If he can produce a freak performance and beat any of them opponents on his day, but beating 2 or 3 of them at a tournament, a 38-year-old, I'm not so sure. He's having a little few injury problems here and there now. We're trying to help him. But yeah, that's about the end for the video. I just thought I would talk about my opinion on the Grand Slam race. I've actually recorded this video. This is the first time recording this video, so I've done incredibly well. It usually takes about 60-50 takes. But leave your opinion down below in the comments, who you think will finish with the most and who you want to finish with the most. I'll be back probably next week with another couple of videos. I've got a few different ideas. So thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a good day.